Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Um, let's see who all we got in here right now. Gemma was here earlier. I hope she comes back. Carol Prince, welcome to the channel. She says she's new. Welcome. Bella, what's going on? Oops. Moniki, what? I can't pronounce that. Moniki. Welcome back over from pinball. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bella, Michigan Outpost, Bug Dude, what's going on? Laura, 101, what's going on, brother? Yeah, quick shout out to Pinball, man. He did an awesome job tonight on the show. It sucks that 101 had technical difficulty. At least that's what he says. I'm pretty sure his mother-in-law shut off his service, probably grounded him or something. We'll see. Nah, just joking. I already talked to 101. He's going to be on the next show with us. We'll find somebody for him to chat with. JH556, what's going on? Monique King 5. Okay, got it. Monique King 5. Klingon Princess, hello. Carla Palmer. Yeah, so it was awesome. Pinball sent over so many awesome new people to my channel tonight, which was just like very, very cool of him. I appreciate that so much. And Pinball's a cool dude. I enjoy his show. I enjoy his videos. He's awesome. Monty, what's going on? Yeah, so we had a really good show. It was just Pinball and I, because, like I said before, 101 had some technical difficulties, which it actually worked out. He could only be on the show for 45 to 50 minutes because he had to do his show that was already scheduled. And if we'd had another person up there putting opinions out, we probably wouldn't have got through all the questions. So it actually worked out decent. It sucks that 101 had to bow out, but he'll be on the next show. So we'll get to have his point of view on everything next time around. That is, if his mother-in-law will pay the internet bill. But we'll go from there. The reason I wanted to come on tonight, excuse me, I dropped a premiere about an hour ago on my container potato experiment reveal. And obviously there's going to be a lot of questions, but I did learn a lot of really important lessons. Number one, I've never planted potatoes before in my life. When I was a kid, like 4, 5, 6, I think I was barefoot walking in the garden with my grandfather and my parents when we were doing potatoes, but I never physically done them on my own. So this is my first time planting potatoes. It was not a planned thing. What had happened was at the end of March, I was doing some pantry rearranging and I found a bag of potatoes in the back of the pantry sitting on the floor that I had bought at Thanksgiving, so November of last year. And there was probably 10 or 15 taters in there, and they had eyes on them. They were like this long. They were massive. And I was like, well, instead of throwing them away, I'm just going to throw them in some dirt and see what happens. So that's what I did. I went and got the peat moss, the potting soil, and the black cow manure. And if you guys go back and watch the first video, I videoed it all. These were straight Walmart potatoes that had been sprayed with the sprout inhibitor and all that good stuff. And honestly, I didn't know if they were going to do anything. So it was an experiment. One bucket, I did it the way a lot of people do it, where you bury it, 6 inches deep, and when the leaves break the ground, you keep covering them over and over 4 or 5 times, and then they grow out. And then the other bucket, I just planted them 6. I put them in the bottom of the bucket and covered them all the way up. You can watch the video. I'm not lying. I just put them in the bottom of the bucket and covered them all the way up, and they grew like nobody's business. They grew faster, thicker, more green than the cover method. But on the reveal today, they were all very small potatoes. They were like soup-sized potatoes. A couple were decent. A couple were, probably fist size, but maybe a girl's fist size. But my takeaway from it, what I've learned is that, number one, I didn't water them enough because the soil was powdery. You could see it. I did not water them enough. I did not know that potatoes really need that much water. And honestly, I think I may have really vented the bucket too many times. I mean, the bottom's basically open, so the water was just flowing right through and on out the bottom. So next time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably cover a third, maybe a half of the holes at the bottom to give the water a longer time to sit before it drains. um, I'm going to seriously increase the amount of water they're getting on a daily basis or every other day. Um, Seriously increase, because the thing is, those potatoes were in the ground for almost 4 solid months, almost a full 120 days. So they were mature potatoes, and some of them were the size of the end of my thumb. Um, so that they were getting plenty of sun. Um, they were getting the nutrients they needed, because the recipe for the dirt I got from somebody on YouTube that grows massive, massive gardens and massive potatoes. It's Hollis and Nancy's Homestead. Awesome, awesome people. If you guys haven't heard of them, check them out. Hollis and Nancy. Um, and I did the dirt exactly the way he does it, and he just grows massive potatoes. The only thing was that I did different. I think I did less than he did. I didn't pay attention to how much water he was technically giving them. I don't think I watered them enough, period. In a discussion, I didn't water them enough. They had the sun. Obviously, you can see the leaves were green and they were all happy. But another thing that it could have been as well, and you guys have heard me mention it before, they never flowered. My potatoes, I never had one single bloom on either of the buckets, which was really strange, because always, what I've heard is when you see the flowers, that's when they're making their tubes, that's when they're making the potatoes. I never saw not one flower on any of those potato plants, which may be a drawback to the sprout inhibitor or whatever they spray on it, or whatever kind of GMO, ABC, whatever stuff they do to the potatoes. So this time around, I'm going to, I've already got some tubers, all organic. I've got the little red tubers. I can't remember what they're called. I got little red potatoes, and I've got sweet potatoes. So I'm planting those next. And I'm going to definitely increase the water, but I'm going to keep doing it until I figure it out. It was disappointing. The harvest wasn't as big as I thought as I wanted it to be, but it was free potatoes. I mean, I got 4 pounds of potatoes from potatoes I was throwing in the garbage. You know, so yeah, am I disappointed? Not yes and no. I'm disappointed in the yield. I'm not disappointed in the potential, because if you go back at the video and you look, even though each one of those buckets produced about the same amount, the deep plant produced more, obviously, but there were a lot of potatoes in that bucket. The problem was they were all this big. I mean, there was probably, I'd take a gander, 40 to 50 potatoes in those buckets, each bucket. There's probably 60, maybe 80 potatoes if you count them all. And I didn't throw them all in the bucket. There were several smaller ones that I just left on the vine because they were itty bitty. So the number of potatoes that was produced was phenomenal. It was the size that was the problem. And I'm going to attribute that to either the no flowers, which that could be a sign that they weren't getting enough water. I don't know. This is my first time doing potatoes. So this time around, those bad boys are going to need a life jacket and floaties, because they're getting some water. You hear me? So I'm definitely going to up the water and kick it into gear. The other experiment that I did with from Prepper Tribe was I put a couple of okra plants, a watermelon, and a cantaloupe seed in their own bucket with nothing but rabbit manure and straw. The only reason straw's in it is because straw was in the manure when I scraped it out from underneath the rabbits. I filled the buckets up with nothing but rabbit manure and straw, and I planted these plants in there. Here's the crazy part. I grew them from seed, and I hosed I broke them out of the little seed pots, and I put them in the rabbit manure. There was no transplant shop. They didn't wilt. They didn't lay over. They didn't look like they got their butt whooped. I planted them in the rabbit manure, and they were like, thank you. And they just started growing. And they're growing really, really well in nothing but rabbit manure. So thank you, Prepper Tribe. So far, so good. It's working great. They're not getting burnt. They're not being over fertilized or anything. They're just growing. The tomatoes are doing good. The hydroponic tomatoes, their color was great. They were super, super dark, but they're not producing anywhere near the tomatoes that the soil tomatoes are producing. I have one hydroponic plant. It still has yet to produce one single tomato. It's a bush, like for real, just a bush. Um, the tomato on the end, the one that I added the hydroponic nutrients to, I just sprinkled it over. The first time I just did a gallon and I poured it in there. And then I was like, nah, because a lot of that ran out the bottom. So the next time I dosed it, which was a week and a half ago, I just I measured it out and I just sprinkled it over the soil and I lightly watered it in and let it soak through. And the color of that plant changed in less than a week. It's darker green than the hydroponic tomatoes now, and it's putting out 4 and 5 tomatoes on every set. I mean, it's just blowing up. So that's a win-win. Next time around, my tomatoes, they're going in soil and they're getting fertilized with hydroponic nutrient solution. Actually, not solution, just a nutrient sprinkled on top and watered in. Because it's the healthiest tomato that's out there, and it's producing like crazy. It's doing really, really well. Bell pepper that I almost killed due to lack of water, which should have been a signal to me to water the potatoes more. Mistake on my part. I increased the water on it and the squash, and now they're coming back to life and they're producing. The cayenne pepper plant, it's throwing off peppers left and right. There's no stopping that thing. And the banana pepper is starting to produce. Now let's see the rabbits. The rabbits are awesome. I got to tell you, if you ain't never had rabbits, you need to get one. Whether it's to eat it or just to have it as a pet, they're like cool, like for real cool. Za is literally the best mom ever. I mean, she had her first litter in the middle of the July, in the middle of a heat wave, in 100-degree weather. She dropped 9 babies her first time, and all 9 are alive. They're all fat and happy. Their eyes are open. They got fur. They're moving around. I mean, they're just doing awesome. And not tooting my own horn, I think I had some kind of extraterrestrial help or something when I came up with that cooling platform idea. I literally think that saved the lives of some of, if not all, those baby rabbits. And I know the rest of the rabbits are just as happy as they can be. I mean, I can go out there in a 100-degree day and they're sitting up on that cooling platform and they're not spread out, they're not hot, they're not panting, they're just hanging out. I mean, today in the video you saw Zod's, it was like 85, 86 degrees when I filmed that video, and she's not even on the platform. And I touched the platform, it's cold. I think she literally got cold and got off the platform. That's how good it does. So it's awesome. And I'm going to do a build video on the my cooling platform 2.0. I went and got the ceramic tiles, liquid nails, and Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to manufacture these things in solid ceramic tile with 1 inch instead of ½ inch insulation on the inside, all 4 sides and the bottom, and then the top I'll leave open, and that will be the platform that they lay on. So that being 1 inch thick should hold the water bottles all day. And the ones I have now, it's only ½ inch insulation, and I put 4 water bottles, frozen water bottles in each one before noon, before it gets hot, and they last. And the next day when I go out to switch them out, they're still cool. So that works really, really well. So I'll do a really cool build video on that. Got to build more cages, grow out cages. Another thing about the rabbits, I had someone in the chat ask, and this is kind of funny. All right, the video, every single video I've done with the rabbits, not one single video have I ever said, hey, here's my cute pet bunnies, or hey, let's look at these cute little rabbits that we just play with and the neighbor. No, every single video with the rabbits in it, it has a 4-letter word in front of the word rabbit, and it says meat. And it's not MEET, like shake their hand and give them a high five. It's meat, like on the plate, dinner, MEAT, meat rabbits. So this person leaves a comment in my video, the last Meat Rabbit Garden Update video, and he says, question goes, do the rabbits ever get time out of the cage to run around? And I was like, okay, so I typed him back. I'm like, No, but they will here in the next couple of weeks when I get the lawn tractors built for, to put them out on the yard. And this person replied back to me. He said, "That's cruel. Unsubscribe." Well, my reply was, well, number one, according to YouTube, there's no little red thing. You're not even subscribed anyway. I don't recognize your name. You were never subscribed, so hop down off that soapbox there, big fella. And number two, learn how to read, because the title says meat rabbits. What did you think you were coming to see? No, I don't turn them loose and let them run. I don't put them on a leash and walk them down the road back and forth either. I'm going to eat them. They're comfortable. They're happy. I feed them really good food. They eat frozen apples, celery, lettuce. They're eating good. Collard leaves, they're eating really good. Now, I am building cages, grow out cages that are going to be bigger. And I was going to build lawn tractors and put them on the ground and let them eat the grass. But now I'm actually having second thoughts, because we have a lot of wild rabbits here. There's cottontails every day. I see them outside in the yard running around. And I know they have a lot of diseases. So I'm actually concerned about putting my rabbits on the ground, eating the grass, coming into contact with these other rabbits and potentially getting sick. So what I'm actually leaning towards is spending the money and building a couple more really big cages, to give them at least 2 to 3 times the room that they have now to grow out and run around, but have them up off the ground, and then I'll just keep feeding them myself. I'm just worried about putting them in contact with rabbit feces from wild rabbits, cottontails, because I have been told by several people that they do carry quite a bit of diseases. And I kind of feel like they'll be safer, a couple feet up in the air off the ground, where they can't come into physical contact with these other wild rabbits. I may go that route. I may not. I'm gonna do a little bit more research into it, and I don't know. I'm gonna kind of. What do you? Old Ryder said that's not a good idea. You agree with me to keep them off the ground? I'm thinking that it might be the smart play to not put them on the ground, just so they don't get sick. I don't want to be diseased rabbit meat. So yeah, I think they may just spend their entire life not touching the ground. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, if you were born and you never touched the ground, you don't know what it feels like, so you don't really miss anything. But I mean, let's be honest, they're not going to be here that long anyway. Okay, they're only going to grow to like 12, maybe 14 weeks, and then they're going in the freezer. It is what it is. But hey, what's going on, Mark Wildman? Mark Bottoms, how you doing? Leslie. But I'm thinking that I know one thing. I'm definitely going to keep at least 2 does and probably a buck from this first litter that Zoff produced, because this rabbit's got some good genes. First litter to be 9, and all 9 are alive in the middle of the summer. That's some good stuff, right? And she's a great mom. You see her open the cage. I reach in there, pick them up. She's like, yeah, whatever. She feeds them every morning, every night. She's got the best nest built in the world. So yeah, I want to hang on to those genetics. So, I'm definitely going to keep at least 2 does and at least 1 buck, maybe 2 bucks. I don't know. Plus, I'm getting some really good color. I mean, there's 9 of them. 3 of them look a lot like Zoff. 3 of them look a lot like Tribe, and the other 3 are black. I don't know where that came from, but they're really, really dark. I mean, it may lighten up. We'll see. But it's really kind of a cool. The rabbits are rocking. The way I've got it figured, come September the 1st, every doe that I've got in those cages right now, except for these babies that were just born, is getting bred. So come September 1st, I'm going to have 4, maybe 5 does that I'm going to breed. So that means come October 1st, if I'm breeding 5 does and they all do, 8 kits a pop, that's 40 rabbits right there. And they're going to average 2 to 2.5 pounds at grow out weight. So you're looking at 80, possibly 90 pounds of meat at one shot. So when I get the system up and I've got both cages completely full of breeding does and bucks, I'm looking at producing in excess of 1,000 pounds of meat per year. Not to mention the hides that I'm going to tan and sell, and the the rabbit meat, the live rabbits that I'm going to sell, because I'm going to keep the breed of the cream d'argents. I'm going to get a buck, and I'm going to breed those two because they're not sisters. They're from two completely different litters, two completely different bloodlines. That's why they're different sizes. They were two completely different litters. So I'm going to get a male and breed both of those, and they'll be full blooded, and they pull some money. I mean, those things go for, in the fall and winter. I mean, they're going for 50, 60, $70 each, at 6 to 8 weeks old. So I'm going to keep those. I'm gonna keep breeding those full blooded. I'm going to breed them with tribe and a solid white just to see what kind of colors I get. But I am going to get a male to have a line of pure cream d'argents. But other than that, man, it was a good day. I learned a lot. Hey, Dusty, what's going on? Dusty Day to you guys, the man responsible for my awesome video intro. Awesome logo. He did an awesome job. Thank you for that. A complete surprise. I didn't ask him to do it or nothing. He's like, hey, man, I sent you an email, and I checked the email, and there's a video intro, logos, the whole 9 yards. And he's like, I heard you was looking for a logo. I think I had mentioned it to him a while back. That I needed a logo because I just pulled that hockey mask thing I had off the internet. And yeah, but he's surprised. I was like, wow, it was really cool. But thank you for that, Dusty. I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's it from updates. I learned some lessons. It was really cool. So now let's see. Does anybody want to come up here and talk some prepping or talk gardening or rabbits or anything? If so, I will drop the link. There it is. Lisa Preps. Hello, welcome. Heads or Tails Living, how's it going? If I've missed anybody. Here's Ark Wild Man. Patrice Lindsay, how are you doing? Moonchild's in here. Let's see. Mark Bottoms. Keith, what's going on? Yes, anybody want to hop on up here? If you do, I just drop the link. Click it and come on up. Virginia Roots. I can come up and laugh at my itty bitty potatoes. John Graves, how you doing? All right, somebody come up here. I'm interested too to see Tribe's bunnies because he'll be breeding his buck and doe that he got from me on the 1st of September as well. So there's going to be a lot of rabbits around here. This should be some pretty good colors too because he's got the white doe and then he got the dark gray buck that is a brother from the same litter as Za. So there's some good genes. So he should be doing pretty good. Yeah, Carol Prince, rabbit tastes. If you cook rabbit in a meal that you normally use chicken, like a stew or any kind of meal that you could eat, a lot of people can't tell the difference, especially with the seasonings. But rabbit is really, really good. Really, really good. Free flins you can re-soften. It's a good tip. And here's the thing about lids, and I don't know if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but I've reused them many, many times. Hey, we got a guest. 101, what's going on, brother?
Getting sick? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Virginia's up here.
Hey.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, the thing about the lids, I reuse them because I'm going to just tell you what I think. I think that the lids, they tell you not to reuse them for a couple reasons. Number one, because you have to buy more, which means they make money. Number two, they're very easy to bend when you take them off the jar. So you need to have like really big hands or help. And if you can get a wide grasp and open it, they unseal really easy. But my thing for not really worrying about reusing them, because I've been reusing them for 2 years and I've never had one pop. I think they last a certain amount of time. Like, I don't think the process, the canning process, really damages the rubber. I think it's the life expectancy of the rubber. So if you reuse it, and I think the jar says 18 months, if you reuse it, in that 18-month window, which I have several times, I've never had an issue. I don't think it's the actual process of the pressure canning that stresses it out or hurts it. I think it's the age of the rubber on the lid. But that's my 2 cents. Until I have one pop, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. So you got everything fixed 101?
Well, see, I wanted a different computer this time. Now my son, man, he worked the other computer pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked, man. You couldn't get on there with us, but it actually worked out pretty good because he couldn't stay long.
Yeah.
I would have never got through the questions if it had been 3 of us.
Yeah. Well, you had a good guess. Pinball, he's a hell of a guess. So.
Yeah, he did awesome. He's really cool. Really cool guy.
It took my wife almost 2 hours to figure it out.
So did you see my pathetic potato harvest?
It looked pretty good, man.
I mean,
that's your first potato harvest?
I've never planted a potato in my life.
Hey, man, at least you got a potato out of it.
Straight from Walmart.
You had a couple fists, man. You had a couple big ones.
Yeah, they're a couple good size. I mean, I got 4 pounds overall, which was, it's 4 pounds of free potatoes because they were going in the garbage. And I was like, I'm going to throw them in the dirt and see what happens.
I know they take a lot of water.
Yeah, see, I didn't, once I planted them, I watched the video on how to plant them and how to do the dirt, but I didn't really pay attention onto the watering prospect of it. Obviously I didn't water them. I didn't water anything in my garden enough, to be honest with you. Now that I've picked up the watering, the peppers are starting to produce, the squash is producing, everything looks better. So I'm gonna put them on a system. They're gonna need life jackets and floaties, man, because they're getting drowned. I'm watering some potatoes next time.
Did they start off as seeds, or were they actually little chunks of potatoes?
No, they were whole potatoes. They were what it was. Here's the deal, and it wasn't because I planned it. It was just because I was trying to put content out on YouTube. Because when I did it, I had just started my channel. I started my channel in February on the 14th, Valentine's Day, and I did the potato video on April 1st. But I was rearranging the pantry, my working pantry in the kitchen, and I found a bag of potatoes that I had gotten back in November for Thanksgiving, and they had the sprouts on them, man. They were like 6-8 inches long, and they were all shriveled up. And I was like, well, hell, I'm gonna throw them in the dirt and see what happens. So I just went and grabbed some dirt real quick from Tractor Supply and some buckets and just mixed them up, made a video, and planted them. But they were the Walmart potatoes, with the seed inhibitor and all that good stuff. And it's like I was talking about earlier, my potatoes never produced a flower. They never, not one, neither bucket, no flowers. So I don't know if maybe I waited too late to plant them because they were pretty shriveled up, man. They were looking rough. I don't know if I waited too late to plant them, or if the seed inhibitor or something else, or if the fact that they didn't flower, and maybe they didn't flower because they weren't getting enough water. I don't know. So all I know is this time I'm gonna kick up the dirt a little bit extra with the rabbit manure because it's a rock star, and I'm gonna water the shit out of them. And
I don't know. I'm not sure flowers has anything to do with it because mine never flowered.
Yeah, see, I have no clue. I mean, because I always heard that when you see the flowers, that means that's when the potato is starting to make potatoes.
You can see me, I can't see you, but anyway,
but
this is out of my buckets.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then it was meant for growing great, just not making taters.
I have to show you a really funny one though. So I grew this potato that totally looks like boobs. It looks like it has nipples, and it's amazing. Yeah, nature's great, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it was meant for growing great, just not making taters.
So I grew this potato that totally looks like boobs. It looks like it has nipples, and it's amazing. Yeah, nature's great, huh?
Yes. Bob Bill, hello, Northern Girl, Monty,
I
Bushcraft
know
family.
they grow a shitload of potatoes around here where I live, and they all have blossoms. Some of them are white, some of them are like lavender. I guess that depends on the type of potato they're growing.
Yeah, I didn't get not
They always
one
blossom.
blossom. I didn't get not one. And I heard that, they'll blossom and they're gone in a day, but I go out there and see them every morning when I go feed my rabbits. So, I mean, it's not like it happened and I didn't see it, so I'm thinking it's a mix of one of two things. It's the quality of the potato that I planted, or it's the complete improper watering on my part.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the improper watering, simply because every single potato that I pulled out of there looks awesome. Even the little ones look awesome. Like, they look really, really good. And here's the crazy part: I didn't find one seed potato. Usually, all the videos I've seen, you'll see them pull out a rotten potato in the bottom of their seed potato. I didn't find one, and I planted whole potatoes. I didn't cut any of them. I just threw the whole potatoes in the bottom. So that tells me there that they were sucking all that life juice from those seed potatoes, and they completely just devoured them. They were hungry. I wasn't giving them enough water. At least that's what I think.
No, that's your first harvest. I think it came out pretty good, man.
Yeah,
Gardening and growing vegetables is not easy. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Plus in buckets, and I want to make it mobile. And, somebody even asked me in the premiere video, what am I doing to winterize it? Nothing. I can't change the weather. I'm just bringing the buckets inside when it gets cold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna set up some grow lights in the basement. That's why I'm doing everything in buckets. Even the potatoes, I can pick up the bucket and carry it inside. It's heavy, but I can do it. And even in the winter, I mean, I'm on the North Carolina, South Carolina border. It doesn't get super, super, super cold. Even in the winter time, it might drop down to 20 at night, but during the day, it'll be up in the 50s. I can sneak them outside for some sunlight for a couple hours and then bring them back in if I need to,
Mm-hmm.
or just put them under the grow lights. They'll grow less, but they'll still grow. And see, I'm going to try to get another crop in the ground by August the 1st. That gives me August, September, October, November. I can get them done. I can get another crop in, before, super, super cold, before December 1st. And, this past winter, I mean, I moved in here in November and it got down into the 20s a few times, but it was quite pleasant all winter. It really wasn't that bad. So, I mean, even if I got to grow them out in the basement, with a little bit of sunlight from the windows, and I'll put up tinfoil to bounce it around and put them under some good grow lights and finish them out in the basement. That's the plan anyway.
That's a good way too for people that live in apartments, or I don't have that big of a backyard, so it's you can make it mobile. That's a good idea.
I'm very close to Rockingham. I'm not. I think it's like an hour and a half away from Charlotte, something like that. So you're up there close to Prepping Plumber and his wife.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I think there was some trolling issues and some very colorful comments made directed towards either him or his wife, and they just decided to take a chill for a while. This was back when all that trolling stuff was going on, back a couple of months ago. But, yes, I think they may have just decided to not hang out here with us anymore, or just take a break. I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I've got a lot of comments, a lot of really good comments, in the video about things, the things to do to help the tomatoes. But I know there are things to do to help them, but the reason why I did the video the way I did it, and I did the experiment the way I started, that's why I did 3 separate lines of tomatoes, growing them different ways. One, all hydroponics, no aeration, just the cracky method to see what happens, because that's the way you're going to grow them inside in the middle of SHTF situation with no help. And then the other ones I did in the soil with just the rabbit manure, because if I've got rabbits, and I do, and no other extra fertilization, I want to know what I can expect in an SHTF situation. That's why I grew them that way. The only change I made was on the very end plant. I decided to do some mix it up and add some hydroponic solution, not solution, but the nutrients. I just sprinkled them on top and watered them in, and that plant exploded. It absolutely went nuts. So that was my experiment to see how I want to grow my tomatoes, indoors or outdoors. in a container in an SHTF situation. That was the whole process for this whole container garden, was to see if it can it be productive, and what's the best way I can do it. That's why I varied up the ways I did it, and I didn't add any extra fertilizers or anything like that to the tomatoes. And the same thing goes with the rest of the stuff in the bucket. I didn't expect my garden to do great. I expected it to hurt. I wanted to stress it a little bit because I wanted to kind of simulate imperfect living conditions, which is what an SHTF situation would be, imperfect living conditions, and just to see how they did. And it's I'm extremely happy with the garden. Even if so what, I only got 4 pounds of potatoes, but number one, I got potatoes. Number two, I grew potatoes for the first time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The next time I grow them, it's going to be a whole lot better for this time. You don't just go out there and plant potatoes and do phenomenal your first time. I mean, that would be stupid. I mean, I wish, but it doesn't work that way.
That was my.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that was my first time, and I got bogged down with a lot of rain up here in the Northwest, and I think it actually helped. Yours and my leaves were different. I had fewer huge leaves, and you had a lot of bushy action going on, and so maybe that makes a difference because neither one of us got flowers, but we got a different looking foliage.
Yeah, I'm like 95% convinced it was the water.
Yep.
Like legit, it was just the water, because I've never grown them before.
Well, remember, I was scared I got too much water. Sorry, 101. Go ahead.
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
They sell those little bags of potatoes, the little ones in there, man. They're like $8. You might have a gold mine there, man.
I know, right? Yeah, I mean, so it's like, and that's the thing too about posting the video. I'm not, if I do something, if I post a video and say, hey, I'm putting seeds in the ground, I'm going to show you what happens to the seed. Just like when I planted my Doomsday Vault seeds and they didn't work. I showed you that they didn't work. I showed you the ones that did, and I showed you the ones that didn't. I like my potatoes. I'm not just going to do this experiment and then one day stop talking about the potatoes because somebody's going to call me out and be like, hey, Ghost, what happened to your potatoes? What am I going to say? Oh, the neighbors came and stole my buckets? No, I'm going to show you that I got little potatoes. I got a whole bunch of them. But hey, that's what happened. It is what it is. Take it, put it in your book, learn from it. That's why I do this. I'm not done. I'm completely thrilled. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good learning experience for everybody all around. Even if it's good, it's a good learning experience. If something fails, I mean, and then you get people in the chat room telling you, hey, I tried this or I do that. You know what I mean? That's where you learn. You learn from other people, right? The gardening is I've done that a few years in my backyard, and I haven't done it in a while. But man, it's not easy just to plant some seed in the dirt and throw some water on. There's a lot to it, man.
Let me tell you, when I went over there and picked up the buckets to bring them over in front of the camera, when I picked them up, I was like, oh crap. They're nowhere near as heavy as I thought they should be. I'm like, I'm not going to have one single potato in these buckets. I'm just going to have a lot of roots. Like legit, I was happy to get what I got because when I picked up the buckets, I was like, oh man, there's nothing in here. But it is what it is. Let's see what the Wizard's got a question.
That's what I thought was going to happen too.
Ghost, what's an easy and yummy veggie to grow that's not a nightshade? I have no clue. I don't even know what all's in a nightshade.
Nightshade is potato, but that's why I came on camera. I have an answer for Wizard. By the way, hello, Wizard. A lot of greens, like Patrice is saying here, a lot of your greens are really easy. And I want to show you guys, I'm in the Northwest. It's pretty cold. It's got a lot of water. And I picked this yesterday. This is a zucchini that I grew from seed. I've got many more on the plant, but I went ahead and picked this one because she's probably a little overdone. But things in the gourd family, I've got pumpkin going right now, and the vine is already 6 or 7 feet long at this point. Cucumbers come up really, really fast and really easy. I've got a bunch of cucumber bushes and they just explode. So I guess I would say certain things in the gourd family, and that includes your cukes and watermelons. And I just want everyone to notice that this grew naturally ribbed for her pleasure. I'm just, I didn't. I didn't.
One thing too that I think is something else that I forgot to mention. You know, for the last 3 years, I've been growing almost exclusively in hydroponics. You know, so watering was not an issue. Fertilizer wasn't an issue. I just had to feed the fish. They did all the work. You know, so they were getting plenty of water, all their nutrients. All I did was just eat the veggies and the fruits. So switching back to a soil environment is it's a pretty big change for me, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to get into this container gardening is because you know everybody talks SHTF this, SHTF that, and I've got my seed ball, this, that, and the other. Well, I'm here to tell you people, don't wait until you have to do it. Do it now.
Right.
Start doing your garden now. Because you might think all it takes is throwing it in a hole, cover up some dirt, sprinkle a little water, and you're going to be eating it like you watch on the Walking Dead and all these other end of the world. It took 4 months to get that measly little 4 pounds worth of potatoes that I got today. Okay. So
Right.
if you ain't got no food and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to plant some potatoes, we'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be dead 3 weeks into the 4 months. Okay. So if your backup plan is I'm just going to grow a garden, you need to start doing that now, you know, and you need to start saving good seeds. It's like there's a garden down the road. A lady sells vegetables on the side of the road from here, and I stopped by there, and I wish I'd have took a picture of it. Man, I will the next time I get one. Hopefully she'll have some more. But I stopped there and I get at least 2 cantaloupes a week and probably 1 watermelon. And I promise you, the other day when I stopped by there, she had the biggest cantaloupes I have ever seen in my life. This cantaloupe that I got from her, she put it in a Walmart rubber bag, plastic bag. I literally held my other hand underneath it because I didn't think it was going to hold the bag was going to hold the weight. This was at minimum a 10-pound cantaloupe. It was massive. I mean, massive and delicious. It was so sweet and so awesome. So I saved like 150, 200 of those seeds. I got them on the counter right now. You know, so that's what's going in the ground. That was a massive cantaloupe, and it was delicious. You know, so
Yep.
if your backup plan is to grow some stuff, don't wait till it gets crazy out there. Start growing it now, and don't. That's one of the main reasons why I'm doing mine in the imperfect. It's in my backyard. I have trees my entire property. You know, they get sunlight most of the day. They get sunlight from the time the sun comes up till about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and they all grew pretty well. The tomatoes are doing fine. So it can be not quite full sun, and they're growing. You know, it can be in a bucket, not in amazing dirt, and they're growing. You need to do that stuff now so you can learn and you can fail like I did today and make adjustments. So the next time around, you know it's going to be. Could you imagine if the shit would hit the fan, you know, a week ago or 4 months ago, and I planted these potatoes, and I was counting on this crop to be, you know, 30 or 40 pounds worth of taters, and I got 4 lousy pounds of grapes that looked like potatoes. Could you imagine how depressing and how demoralizing that would be in a straight up situation if you were counting on that food? Can you really? That would not be good. You know, do it now, fail now, so you can succeed later. That's why I'm doing it the way I'm now. I mean, I'm just not, I wouldn't say half-assing it, but I'm going straight rough. I mean, you've seen my videos. I do not take it easy on my plants. I flat out almost killed one of those hydroponic tomatoes just to see how dead it would get, because I noticed it was wilting and I noticed that it was out of fluid, out of solution, and I got busy doing something else and I forgot to go mix it. So it went an entire another day in a bucket, dry. There was no fluid in there. And I was like, let's see if I can bring it back. So I mixed up a new batch of nutrients, poured it in there, and boom, it's back. You know, it looks like crap. It got its butt whooped. But guess what? Those seeds that I'm going to get from those tomatoes that are on that plant, because there's only 2 on there, those seeds that I'm going to get from those tomatoes, they're going to remember that butt whooping they got. That they carry that stuff on. They got genetics just like we do. You know, they remember that. I want the seeds from the plant that got whipped. That's the one I want. I want the seeds from the plant that got its butt whooped, that got bullied, because that's going to be a tough plant. Gemma's here. Gemma, I tell you what, you are going to have a hard time deciding which rabbit to name Gemma because every single one of them is awesome. We got to wait a few more weeks till I can tell which ones are boys and which ones girls. Because technically, I guess you can name a boy rabbit Gemma if you want to, but I was thinking you probably want it to be a girl. So we'll see how many boys and girls we got here in a few more weeks, and then you get the name away, pick which one you want. You can watch YouTube video of the dude that. Oh yeah, fish head. I've seen people put fish heads. I've seen people put the entire fish in the ground. Um, Backwoods did a really good video on how he planted his tomatoes, and I think I may even incorporate that next year. Next time I plant some, he takes an egg, a raw egg, and cracks it open and sets it at the bottom of the hole, and then plants the tomato on top of it. And he had some gorgeous tomatoes.
Fish head? I never heard of that.
Fish head? Oh yeah, the Indians just put the fish at the bottom of the hole. Way back in the day.
Good fertilizer.
But I know this winter in the basement, I'm going to build me a new aquaponics system because all the ways to garden, soil, hydroponics. Let me tell you, aquaponics. Number one, it's fun. Number two, it's fun because it's just so relaxing to go out there and watch these fish grow. And dude, I've still got probably 15 pounds of fish in my freezer from my tilapia that I harvested last November before I moved. I mean, I'm talking pound and a half fillets that I grew on my back porch. And I had, a tomato plant that lasted 18 months. I had collard greens that were 9 feet tall. I mean, the stuff I was growing, it was just throw a seed in there, it'll be fine. And it just exploded, so you get more bang for your buck aquaponics wise because you're getting protein from the fish. You're not having to do any kind of fertilizers or anything with the plants. You don't do all you do is eat. Like you put it in there and then you just eat it. It's awesome. I'm definitely going to do an aquaponics system this upcoming season. I'm going to get started building on it as soon as I can find the stuff that I need. That crap is great fertilizer. I'm here to tell you, the best fertilizer on the market is rabbit manure. You saw the cantaloupe, watermelon, and the 2 okra plants that I've got planted in nothing but rabbit manure, and that was Prepper Tribe's idea. He's like, well, if it's so good, just plant it into rabbit shit. I'm like, well, okay, I will. And they didn't even have transplant shots. Like, I put them in the rabbit manure, watered them, and they were like, thank you. And they're growing great. Had the Indians, created fish, and each 3 sisters now. 3 sisters is corn, beans, and squash. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the 3 sisters.
Wow.
Corn, beans, and squash. Yeah, I remember
squash.
Yeah, because the corn, the beans grow up the stalk. The squash is ground cover. It's like they work really, really well together.
Wow. Great tip.
Yeah, so it was a great day. I mean, the potato harvest wasn't great. I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't that I didn't get a lot of potatoes. I learned a lot today. So it wasn't a bad day. It was a great day. It was a great day. And I've got, on the bright side, I got enough potatoes for probably 2 good pots of beef stew, at least.
Now, can't you take those potatoes and cut them up and replant them?
I didn't cut them last time. I'm probably not going to cut unless I'm in a situation where I actually need to cut them up.
When I've seen farmers do it, I mean, it's not like I've seen them do it a whole lot. When they do some like mass planting, they come in with big crates, big old crates. They got to use forklifts to take off the back of the semis. They're double stacked, and they got all these potatoes on there. And you can tell they cut them up and they seal them because they're like purple. But whatever they put on the outside where they cut them, and then that's what they plant into the ground.
I mean, I thought about doing that, but like in my mind, I'm looking at how a seed works. A seed.
The only time I ever planted potatoes was I bought some at Home Depot, and they were little tiny ones, and we planted them. we didn't give enough water. They didn't even they barely sprouted. But I didn't know, maybe sometimes you can just cut them up and replant them.
Like I look at a baby seed potato as a seed, and the way a seed works, a seed contains everything that plant needs until it breaks ground and gets to the sun. You know what I mean? So it's like the seed is kind of like the gas tank. Because I figured if I cut it, maybe there won't be enough juice for that plant to grow big and healthy. You know what I mean?
Well, they coat it with something. You know what I mean? It's not just the raw cut. They seal it. That way that way they get more planting.
And let it sit on the counter for like 3 or 4 days, and it builds a skin, like a rough skin over it on its own, and it turns dark, and then you plant it. I've watched the videos doing that. I thought about trying it. I actually may do that on the next batch and just do the difference in cutting them up versus planting whole seed potatoes, and see what happens. But you know, I've seen it work both ways. The thing was I didn't see much of a difference in the size, but I'm obviously from my video today, I'm no potato whisperer. That's for damn sure. I got a long way to go before I start giving the advice on how to grow potatoes. I know how to grow itty bitty. I know how to grow grapes that look like potatoes. I grew a lot of those today. But I mean, if you count the potatoes that I grew, there's at least 60 or 70 potatoes in those buckets now. And I didn't even put them all in the bucket. There was probably 20 or 30 more still on the roots that I didn't pull off because they were super, super small. Imagine if they would have all grown, full maturity and got the water they needed. I would have had 50 pounds of potatoes easy. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Rolling Girl Hobbies. Good night. Yes, I thought about doing the bigger potatoes, but and I've even seen some people say that you don't have to wait for the potato to grow eyes. You can go ahead and plant it now and it'll come up. Or, some people have said if you leave them in the ground too long after you plant them, that they'll start to grow from the potatoes that are down there. But I don't know the time limit on that and how it works. That may be another experiment to do. Just plant a fresh organic potato and then plant one that's already sprouted. That is a good experiment, and see what the time difference is on how long it takes them to break ground. I think I'll do that.
Good night, North Girl.
That'd be kind of cool, don't you?
What's the ground temperature got to be to grow potatoes?
I don't know. I know that you don't want them to freeze, but I think if they're in the ground and you get a frost, they're okay. If they're in the ground and they've sprouted and you get a frost, it kills it. But I'm not positive about, and I also think it depends on the ground temperature, how deep you bury them, and what climate you're in. I mean, here where I'm at, I think if I got them in the ground and it snowed, they'd probably still be okay as long as they didn't break through the ground, because the snow really doesn't stay here that long. But I'm going to bring them inside anyways. And I'm also going to build a hoop house, a little greenhouse. That's where I'm going to put my fish tank for the aquaponics, because it does get cold enough here in the wintertime. It could kill the tilapia, and I don't want to lose any fish. So, and that'll kill, two birds with one stone. Having a little greenhouse, hoop house to help out during the winter. But, it is what it is. What are you going to do?
Well, I've got another 3 or 4 buckets of potatoes a couple of weeks behind the ones I just harvested. I wouldn't be surprised if you did better in the fall, because mine, I think they grew bigger leaves and less of them because they grew slower. I think your foliage grew really, really fast and put off a lot of the little tubers on the bottom, whereas mine grew a lot slower and bigger and got bogged down. So I'm going to guess your fall round is going to be amazing.
I mean, I legitimately thought that somebody had snuck in my backyard and planted an azalea bush in those buckets. They looked like hedges, man. They were massive. I'm like, what in the world? I was trying to tie them up. I mean, dude, like from the ground to the top. I mean, some of those limbs were 5, 6 feet tall. It's crazy. I mean, they just laid over, and I'm just like, just lay over and grow. But I think that maybe that was. I can't attribute that to the water. I can maybe attribute that to maybe the sunlight, because, like I said, they're not in full sun. They get probably 3/4 sun, 2/3, maybe 3/4 sun. So maybe the leaves were getting bigger in an effort to get more sunlight, the chlorophyll whole thing. So maybe that's why the leaves grew bigger, was they want more sun. That's another good
Also,
experience.
temperature. The first month and a half of mine was about 55 degrees, and yours was 20 degrees hotter.
No, actually, when I first planted them, I had to bring them inside. Remember, it got down to the 20s here. I did a video on that. It got down to the 20s a couple times. Like the first week to 2 weeks that I planted them, I had to bring them inside. You know, it hasn't been like super, super hot here up until the last 4 weeks. It's been, you know, up right at the hundreds, you know, on a daily basis. That's what had me worried about the rabbits.
Right.
But I got to tell you, anybody out there that has meat rabbits, don't have a cooling tower, build one. Watch my video. Because I'm here to tell you, it's all I do in the mornings. You know, I have a case of Walmart bottled waters in my freezer right now at all times. In the morning, I'll pull out however many I need to fill up all the towers. Right now, there's 4, so it's 16. It holds 4 bottles. Each one holds 4 bottles. So I pull out 16 completely solid frozen water bottles. I go outside. I take out the ones from yesterday. I put in the new ones, covered up. Take the ones inside, put them immediately back to the freezer so they're ready for the next day. You know, so I'm just rotating the ice and the water back and forth. And I mean, it legit keeps it super, super cold. So cold to the point that the rabbit gets off of the platform to warm up. I mean, it's this July. It's almost August. Yeah, so it's badass. And the only investment is the electricity to run the freezer, you know. And one thing that really helps is where I have my cages. My cages are in the woods behind my house. I mean, they're shade pretty much 24/7, and there's a really nice breeze that blows through there. So they're not enclosed in a barn or anything like that. They're, you know, wide open with a tarp over the top, and all that's going to change here in the near future. Now that lumber prices are starting to come down, because I built everything out of metal because it was cheaper than lumber. Plus, I don't want to do a whole lot of lumber because the rabbits, they pee on it, and you know that smell never goes away in wood. So the wood that's going to be in my rabbitry is going to be the roof and the supports. I'm going to try to keep it as far away from the cages as possible, just so it doesn't get saturated in urine. And if it is something that gets close to the cage that's going to be saturated in urine, it's going to have a hell of a coat of paint on it to try to ward it off. You know, plus I got the pressure washer, so every time I pull a batch of rabbits out or take a mama out to breed, I'm going to, you know, sanitize and blast the cage out because it's all metal to keep it as sanitary as possible. But yeah, so if you do have rabbits, you know, watch my video, build a cooling tower, and your rabbits will love you. I mean, I bred when, number one, he was supposed to be sterile in the middle of the summertime. He wasn't. She was only 16 weeks old when I bred her first litter, and she had 9 healthy babies. All 9 are still alive, and they're fat and happy. And so it's like, yeah, build the cooling tower. Rabbits are just fun. It is so fun to just go out there and play with the rabbits every day. Yeah, there's going to be like a little transition when I got to cull the first one, but you know, after I get past the first one, I'll be fine. You know, but that's why the only ones I'm naming are the ones that I'm keeping that I'm breeding, and the ones that I breed I'm not going to eat unless there's some kind of an emergency. And my breeders, they'll breed till they're done, and they'll just get retired. They'll get given away. I'll sell them as pets, you know, something like that. Because I play with them every single day. Every single one of the breeders. You've seen Zah. She just comes up and, you know, licks on my hands. I pet her. You know, I can bring her in the house and turn her loose and she'd be fine. You know, I say, yeah, but the babies, the ones that are getting, you know, bred for meat, they don't get names. You know, I'll still interact with them every day, you know, touching this, that, and the other, but not, you know, petting, you know, rubbing them behind the ear, things like that. I'll interact with them, but, you know, that's meat on the table. It is what it is. Yeah. Everybody gets upset. Oh, it's a cute factor, cute little rabbit. Look, baby chickens are cute. Okay, baby cows are cute, but they're delicious. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Are you going to name the babies, really?
No, I don't name. The only ones I name are the breeders. The ones that I'm eating, that they don't get names. They'll get like, you know, a batch number or something. Plus, that's too many names, man.
Just so to be easier for you to kill them, just name them all backwards.
Well, Backwoods is my backup buck. He's already out there in the cage.
That way, when you hit them and you chop them, you won't feel so guilty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're right. Terry Leach, what? I'm sorry. That's what? I don't understand that. Yeah, so, like the breeders, like the ones that are putting in the work, they get names, they get petted, they get a reprieve, they get a stay of execution. But their kids, nah, yeah, not gonna happen. That's why it blew me away when that guy made that comment about, do you let your rabbits out of the cage to run around? No. I'll put them in the lawn tractor and they'll get to run. Unsubscribe. That's just inhumane. Dude, did you not read the title? It said meat rabbits, not meat, not come meet my rabbits, but they're rabbits for meat, you know? Jack off. But what are you gonna do? Ghost, no stew for babies. I'm sorry, Sherry. Rabbits are delicious. And I'm going to be eating up some rabbit. And we're going to be canning rabbit meat, or at least I am. Yeah. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I remember growing up on the farm, we had cows, chickens, turkeys, pigs, horses. We didn't eat the horses. But, I mean, you know, the baby chickens were fun to play with. I mean, you'd name them, play with them, pet them until they got big, and it was time to eat. And then you ate chicken. It was the same way with the cows. Baby cows are cute. The baby pigs are cute, but they're delicious.
Veal is delicious.
Yes.
And one of the guys at work, he raises rabbits and butchers them. And they're I think he said they're from New Zealand. They're freaking huge, man. They're really big. Big. I thought there was I really thought he was killing cats and dogs and bringing them to work. I was all man.
No, that's what I raise. I have New Zealand, California crosses, and I have the cream d'Argents. And New Zealand's, I mean, if you grow them out, like, I mean, they can live to be like 12, 15 years old and weigh like 15, 16, 18 pounds. They get massive. But yeah, the breeding age, the bone to meat ratio, the best time to cull is at 12 to 14 weeks. And then you're taking a 5-pound rabbit average, and you're getting anywhere from 2.5 to 3 pounds of meat per rabbit. So that's a really good bone to meat ratio. Now you've got, and New Zealanders are probably the number one meat rabbit. Now you've also got other ones. You know, people have crossed them with those Flemish giants, those massive, huge rabbits. Yeah, and they're huge rabbits. But when you butcher them, you're not getting that much meat. Because the bigger the animal, the bigger the bone structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you're losing money feeding them. I mean, literally, I can feed these rabbits for free. All I got to do is put them in a tractor and put them on the ground and let them eat grass. It'll probably take them a little bit longer to grow out to weight, probably 14 to 16 weeks. But in an SHTF situation, if you ain't got rabbit feed or you're not growing veggies for them, they can just cut your grass for you, which means you're saving money in gas. You're not having to cut your grass, and it doesn't cost you anything to raise protein for your family. You know, and
you're not in a position where you got to harvest 100 rabbits to feed yourself a month anyway. You know, you're setting yourself up right. You can can them. I mean, you can freeze them, whatever you want to do. You can get a food freezer and you can freeze dry them if you want to. And you know,
I'm going to can a bunch. I'm going to freeze a bunch, and then you can always, back off your breeding. And if you're breeding more than you can store, you can sell the meat. You can sell the rabbits. I mean, there's a reason. There's a saying that they breed like rabbits. I mean, one mama rabbit can produce. I can't remember. You put it this way: if you're breeding them, if you're on a serious hardcore breeding regimen where you're breeding, 7 to 8 times a year. Let's see, every 6 weeks. So it's like right now, I think I'm going to breed 6, maybe 7 times a year each rabbit. And if each time they're breeding, every 6 weeks, say she's popping out 8 babies, and 8 babies are 3 pounds apiece at harvest time. I mean, that's 24 pounds every 6 weeks of meat went in the freezer per rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And now if you've got 5 of them or 4 of them, that's 100 pounds every 6 weeks. You're putting 100 pounds of meat in the freezer. I mean, that's like clockwork. Every 6 weeks, 100 pounds of meat minimum in the freezer. Come on, man. Do the math. Do the math. And rabbit meat right now sells for like $10 a pound.
Really?
Yeah, like the restaurants are trying really, really hard to get rabbit meat because it's so healthy. Doctors are prescribing rabbit meat for patients with high cholesterol and blood pressure issues. Rabbit meat, it has almost zero fat. It has like no cholesterol. It's like the healthiest meat on the planet is rabbit. So yeah, that's why I'm pushing that direction. Plus, they're delicious. They're easy to raise. You can raise them anywhere. They don't make any noise. They're completely quiet. You know, and people have asked about the smell of the urine and the feces. But mine are in the woods behind my house. They're probably, I don't know, maybe 50 yards from the back door. I don't smell anything. I mean, I don't have them enclosed. They're not enclosed in a barn that's going to collect all that yuck. It's completely open. There's a breeze 24/7. I don't have now. If I walk straight down there and hover over, the cages over the urine, yeah, you can smell it. But it's really not. It's nothing. It's it's a changing the cat litter in your litter box is 1,000 times worse than going out there and feeding the rabbits. I mean, there's no comparison. There's literally no comparison. When I walk Buddy, my service dog, and he drops a bomb, it's 100 times worse than walking by the rabbit cages. There's no comparison there. Yeah, Klingon, that's what I plan on doing. We have a farmer's market here, and there's a roadside stand where I get a lot of my vegetables from that I can sell rabbit meat at both places. Or I can just sell it, here to the people in the neighborhood. Like my neighbor, he's got the chickens. My neighbor does the chicken meat and the eggs. I do the rabbits. So we've got a whole barter system set up to take place there between him and I. Because, I was wanting to do chickens and rabbits, and I'm like, the day I was building my cage and bring the stuff in the backyard to do my cages, he had a roll of wire on his shoulder, chicken wire. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, what are you doing? I'm like, you first. He said, I'm building a chicken coop. I'm tired of the prices I'm paying for meat, so I'm gonna raise my own and give me some fresh eggs. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. What are you building? I said, my rabbit huts because I'm tired of the price of meat. And I'm gonna raise my own protein in the backyard. He's like, He said, how many rabbits are you are you raising? I said, well, right now I got 4. I said, but do I need to go get a couple more? He's like, yeah, I probably need to get some more chickens. I'm like, good idea. So we nonchalantly, in a joking fashion, we both upped our ante into the whole barter system. I was like, hey, I'll get a couple more rabbits so I can give you some meat. He's like, hey, I'll get a couple more chickens so I can give you some eggs and some meat. And we're good. And it's awesome because now I don't have to deal with the chickens. He does the chickens. I just focus on the rabbits in the garden. Wow, Sherry Leach, $29.95 for rabbit in the restaurant here on the plate. And you're probably just getting like one of the hindquarters, a leg, if that's the best part, and for $30. That's crazy. Where are you at, Sherry? Because I am not coming there to eat. Yeah, rabbit meat is awesome. It's like the my tilapia that I have in the freezer. I mean, 100% organic tilapia, which are the ones I grew. That dude, it's like 20, 25, 20, almost $30 a pound. Some places for all completely organic tilapia, and getting 3 to 4 pounds per fish. Yeah, Klingon, to sell to restaurants, it has to be permitted. The FDA has to come out and inspect your rabbitry and inspect your where you process and how you actually do the processing. But if you're selling direct to the consumer, like if I'm selling to my neighbor or somebody at a farmer's market, there's no regulations. Direct to the consumer is legal here in North Carolina. Northwestern Ontario. Yeah, wow, man, that is expensive up there. If it's direct to the consumer, you can do it. But like selling it to an institution like a restaurant or something, there's way too many regulations. Yeah, Gary, the only rabbit I've ever eaten is a cottontail. I've never had one at restaurants or any of that. It was all, hunted, killed, cooked. They were delicious. And the taste comparison from what I've been told is that a meat rabbit raised the correct way in your yard, good food, the whole 9 yards, is night and day difference as far as the gaminess and the quality of the meat. So I'll let you know when I harvest my first one, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it actually. Because I'll be honest with you, when I culled my first tilapia out of my tank, baby fish that I raised, it was like, it wasn't a tear jerking moment by any means, but I was like, there was like a little bit of a reservation there. I just kind of, I like actually put it off, for a week or so past the grow out date. So I just didn't want to do it. And then I'm like, no, it's time to eat some fish. So I harvested, I think 18 fish, and I think I harvested like close to 40 something pounds of meat. And it doing the first one, filleting the first one, it was a learning kind of curve thing. But as long as you dispatch the animal in the right way, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, with the fish, it's very easy to dispatch the fish. You just bring a cooler full of super cold ice water and just drop the fish in the ice water and he falls asleep. It's like relatively quick. I mean, he just simply just falls asleep, literally, and he dispatched that way, and then you clean it. As far as the rabbits go, I've researched several different ways of doing it. Some people use, a firearm. Some people use a bat. Some people use the broomstick method. Some people use the choker chain method. I'm going to do the hopper, popper method, or the kill board, whatever you call it. It's where you instantly sever the spinal cord, so there's no suffering, there's no pain. It's just like it takes place literally in like a fraction of a second. So it's quick and boom, it's done and it's over. So, za, yes, I think that is what it is. It's the wild versus captive. Plus, I think it has a lot to do with the breeding because rabbits like the Californian and the New Zealand, they've been specifically bred as meat rabbits, which means they were like specific genetic traits were picked out of certain rabbits. It's like with Za. I'm keeping some of her babies for future breeding stock because she is an awesome mom. It is in her genes to raise big, fat, happy babies. So yeah, that's what I want. And that's one of the traits in meat rabbits that they try to breed into the New Zealands and the Californians and that they pass on. And they were also, my rabbits were bred to be heat tolerant. That's why they have huge ears, because that's how they regulate their body temperature. Rabbits with small ears don't do really, really well in the heat. That's why you notice if you like out in the desert, out in Arizona and stuff, you'll see those desert rabbits running around. Man, their ears are bigger than their bodies. But then if you go way up north, somewhere like Alaska or Canada or something, and those snow hares, they got the little itty bitty ears because they don't need to release any body heat. They want to keep it in. The rabbits that I have are heat tolerant. They're bred to be heat tolerant, and they're bred to make big, fat, happy babies.
Well, my mother-in-law must be a hot weather rabbit. She got big ears.
Now we know the show's complete. We got our mother-in-law joke. Monique, have you studied animal husbandry and butchery? By studying it, I mean that's the environment that I grew up in. I mean, I grew up on a farm. We raised our own meat. We raised our own vegetables, our own fruits. Yes, I guess I studied it. I mean, that's, it wasn't in an educational setting, in a school or in an establishment, but I learned on the fly. As far as butchering goes, what I don't know how to do, I mean, that's the great thing about YouTube. You type it into that search bar, and I promise you somebody's got a video on how to butcher a rabbit. That's how I learned how to fillet my tilapia. Was an awesome video, and that's how I learned how to butcher the rabbits. I'm going to butcher, and which is completely different than the way that I butchered, growing up. Not necessarily butchering, the processing part when you dispatch. there's some of the ways on YouTube that are way more efficient and way more sanitary than the way I was taught to do it, in the woods. Yeah, I apprenticed it, I guess is what you call it. Hutch, what's going on? Hutch, you want to come up here and join us?
Hey, Hutch.
I dropped the link for you, Hutch, or anybody else if you want to come up here.
Can you have cows where you're at, Ghost?
No, I don't have any cows.
Can you though? Are you zoned for that, or are you in a residential neighborhood, or?
Where I'm at, technically, it's I don't have enough room for them to be number one. Number two, it's zoned residential, but I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from what's not residential. Hey, Gemma, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good. I got 4 pounds of itty bitty potatoes. Life is great.
Nice. Hey, Pepper. How you doing? And VA, it's good to see you.
You too.
Good to see you, Gemma. Yeah, just because of COVID last year, they changed the zoning rules in the city I live in. I live in a residential neighborhood, and you can have chickens. You can have only so many chickens, no roosters, and you can have rabbits.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about rabbits. You can have rabbits anywhere.
Yeah.
Rabbits are not classified as livestock. You can have rabbits in downtown New York City on your balcony if you want to. You can raise meat rabbits anywhere in the United States. As far as I'm aware of, and I've researched it, you can raise rabbits anywhere. The reason I chose rabbits is they're not regulated. You can raise them anywhere. Number one. Number two, they're super quiet. They don't make any noise. So you're not going to get any kind of complaints from HOAs or anything like that. They don't make any noise. I mean, they do these like little barks. It's really cute, like really low key barks, but very usually when they're just like playing or when they're pissed off. But yeah.
Hey, Sherry and Laura.
They don't really smell that bad, at least not here where I am. And I mean, honestly, you can bring them inside and you can train them in a litter box just like a cat.
Yeah, people have them for pets.
Yeah.
They'll follow you around the house and everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, so it's and to do honestly, even if I had enough land to do a cow, the only reason I would do cattle of any kind would be for milk. But simply because it costs so much money, and somebody did a breakdown on it, and I want to say it's like, my God, I can't remember how much it took. It was like 30 or 40 something pounds of feed to get 1 pound of meat from a cow versus a rabbit is the animal that it takes the least amount of input to get a pound of meat out of. Literally, you cannot put anything into a rabbit if you're feeding it just your grass from your yard, and it's completely, absolutely free food. It's
so
like,
I could pretty much just cut my grass. I could cut my grass, bag it up, and feed it to them, and that's all they need.
Yeah. Or you can just build a rabbit tractor and put it in your yard, and you ain't got to cut your grass. You just move the box every day. You just move it around your yard every step. There's some awesome videos on YouTube about how to build rabbit tractors. It's just usually it's like a 4x8 where you cover, and you just pick up each side every morning and move it over to a new spot, and then cut the grass for you for free. You don't have to give them any food. A lot of people do give them food because it grows them out to the growth weight faster. They'll supplement with pellets and stuff like that. But like here, what I've chosen to do is I planted several heads of lettuce. I'm going to plant some more collards, and I'm going to plant some more celery, and I'm just going to feed them from my garden. I'm going to grow a garden for them because the seeds are free. I'm taking them from what I just grew. So technically it's free. It's not technically free, but it's literally dirt. Because you can grow out a head of lettuce, bib lettuce and leaf lettuce in 30 days. And if you grow, 8 or 10 heads and you space them out, to where you're getting, 2 heads every week. I mean, you're feeding your rabbits for free.
What's not good to feed them? Can you feed them tomatoes?
I know you don't want to feed the leaves. The tomato leaves are poisonous. I don't know if they can eat tomatoes. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I just stick with the lettuce, the celery, the collard. Let me tell you something. The one thing I think that helped Za with her babies the most was I fed her a massive collard leaf every single day for like the last 2 weeks of her pregnancy. She got, fresh. I popped it off the plant and went and gave it straight to her, and she went nuts with the collard. All the rabbits, out of all the food I've given them, they will fight each other over collards. They love collard greens. And I've heard the same thing about spinach and stuff like that and kale. But another thing too about Zaz is, people say the rabbits, from the time you breed them, they'll kindle 27 to 31 days. She kindled on day 31. Like I literally thought it was a false pregnancy. It went to the far end, and I think that was awesome because if you do the math, the difference in 27 and 31 is almost 5 days, and they're only pregnant for 30 days. So those rabbits got to stay in there for like an extra 10% of the time. I think that's why they were so big and so healthy, is because they weren't basically born premature. I mean, they came out fat and happy, and they've been fat and happy ever since because she went like that term the 31 days. Plus, I was supplementing it with, fresh greens, the entire time. I wanted to make sure she was making milk and she was good to go. And I mean, it was so cool about it. The morning that she gave birth, I went out there to check and I saw the babies. She literally still had blood on her hind legs. She was cleaning herself off like she had just finished having the babies. And I looked in the nest and there was a little bit of hair, like not even a cotton ball's worth of hair. And it was like around the edges. It was like accidental hair around the edges. She didn't pull any hair and cover the rabbits. I came back inside, had some breakfast. I was in here maybe 15, 20 minutes max. I went back outside to check and I got my camera to go take pictures because it was dark when I saw them the first time. I wanted to wait for the sun to get up so I could take pictures to post on YouTube. And when I got back out there, she had pulled hair and completely covered them up. So she gave birth, then she pulled hair and covered the rabbits, which I thought was like really smart. Like I was like, wait a minute, a lot of people they grab. I mean, I in my mind I'm thinking, well, she knows it's summertime, it's really really hot, and she ain't trying to cook the babies. She had them on the straw, and then she pulled some hair and she put them over the top. She still has the nest isn't full of hair. She just put a light covering of hair over the top to cover them up, basically to hide them like you would in the wild. But she didn't like super insulate the nest because it's summertime. And hopefully, I'm thinking in the wintertime, it'll be completely different. When she delivers in the winter, I'm thinking she's going to pull a whole bunch of fur and fill it up and then have the babies and cover them up. I mean, they got to be smart. They've been around for millions and millions of years. They got to know that the temperatures, it's hot, so I'm not going to cover the babies up and kill them, kind of thing. At least I'm thinking she's that smart. What else is going on, guys?
Well, with me, I went out yesterday to a local boatyard and what we call a marina area with my dad and my granddad. We took him around to see some of the old fashion boats. Whilst I was there, my dad actually said to me, he goes, "Why don't you film this to show your friends in the States?" So I walked around with my cell phone and I just took some pictures and did some footage of me walking around, and I uploaded that last night when I got back.
I saw it. Those are some really cool pictures of some really cool boats. I'm not like a big boat guy, but when I lived in Florida, I lived close to a marina, and I used to go out there. They had a restaurant like right on the boat dock. Go out and have like a nice meal. Really cool. Really cool. Good child, how you doing? Hutch is still working.
And then last night, when I was just about to go to bed, I get a police 2 policemen bang on my window, absolutely scared the living daylights out of me. Like, oh, we need to have access. You seem to be anyone up. You need to let us in. I'm like, this was like what, just after 11 o'clock my time last night. And I was like, well, no, it's dark. I'm not going to come out into the street and let you in. Like, no. They go, if you don't let us in, then we can arrest you for banning us for access. There's someone who's having a medical emergency. I was like, well, no one's called you as far as I'm aware. And then this second van turns up, bangs on my window again, and goes, oh, we need to be let in. You need to let us in. We have emergency powers to let in. So I talk right round the back of my block of apartments, let these 3 big 6-foot guys in, and they're all in like body shirts, and I'm like, what the hell, dudes? Like 11 o'clock at night, really? Like, it scared the crap out of me. I was like, I'm down here, they're up here to me. I'm like, what the hell is? It's like, yeah, it was not fun.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, and the police here are useless because they're like, they didn't even tell me what it's about. I was like, well, can I know what it's about first before I let you in? I said, because, there's a lot of vulnerable people that live here. And he goes, we can't tell you, it's confidential. I'm like, dude, there's vulnerable people that live in here. You can't just demand entry if you're not going to tell me. He goes, well, you either let us in or we can arrest you. I'm like, what the hell? Serious?
Crazy.
So stupid. So that was quite fun for like 10 minutes.
Well, boys and girls, I'm getting kind of tired. I've had a long day, and Buddy
I was
wants
going to say, twice in live in one night.
Yeah, twice, and a premiere, and yeah, it's been a busy day. But I got to go walk Buddy before he pees on my floor. So yeah, I think we'll cut this thing a little short. We're on here an hour and a half, and get some stuff done, maybe eat some supper. I wanted to thank you all for popping in here and hanging out with me.
Who out? Yes, they do. Yeah, we still have people live in boats in the canals. That's like today. I tried to show. There was a couple who were living on the boat when I took my granddad out, and my granddad's like, I thought people were too clever not to live in a boat anymore, but there happened to be 3 or 4 couples who are actually staying in their boats on the river. So
yeah, they do that a lot of here in the States too, especially on the coast. At the marinas, people live on their boat. Actually, the lady that trained Buddy at Southeastern Guide Dogs, she actually just quit working there to start her around the world boat tour on her sailboat. She's been living on her boat for like 6 years, and she just left like 3 weeks ago to sail around the world. So, cool.
nice.
Not me, but cool. But 101, I will send you an email here in the next few days about the show. Next show, the summit for you. And
sorry about that, man. I was so frustrated.
No big deal. No big deal. I didn't think I was even going to be able to go live, man. My internet crashed. I just had to reboot barely and got it up in time. So it is what it is.
In the next few days, I'm hoping to do a show for you guys to get you over the 2K hurdle. So I'm going to try and go live for you in the next few days.
Actually, I may already be over the 2K. I've
been keeping an eye on your channel for like every day just to check. So I was hoping to.
Pinball brought a buttload of people over, and I had something close to like 300 new subscribers a while ago. I literally had 1,600, 1,630. Before I started this live stream, I was at I was over 1,900. So I was like, I know, right? I got like almost 300 subscribers since 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Well deserved. You should have had more than that anyway. That's well deserved. You should have had a lot more than that anyway.
Well, I was doing really, really well when I first started. I was going live 3 or 4 times a week, but it just got to be too much. I was getting burnt out, so I just had to just kind of like step back and just take a break for a little while.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Well, I'm still going to get you some extra people. I'm still going to go live for you anyway and get you a few more
people. Hang on, I'll tell you. I am at, where is it? Coming up. I'm at 1,920 through, what happened?
I'll easily get you over that 2K. Damn it. I'm gonna do that.
So I got almost 300 subscribers since 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, I'm going to get you over 2K, and I promised you, and I stick to my promises. So.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that.
I definitely will do that.
You're a sweetheart. All right, everybody. Virginia,
101.
you still there, Virginia?
Yeah, I was just going to ask 101 if he's canning with us next week.
Are you pro?
Canning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to can?
Well, we don't know yet. I'm gonna put a poll up tomorrow and let everybody pick and decide what we're gonna can.
Yeah, I'll can with you.
All right, cool. We'll see you Saturday.
I think I can open one of my bacons here this week.
All right, we'll see you Saturday then. Saturday at 8. It's a date.
Sounds good.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off here. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
See
Thanks, everybody.
soon.
Have a good night.
Everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody on the panel. Appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. Y'all have a good one. We will see you later.